Welcome to the Six Figure Influencer Podcast. I am so happy you are here. I hope you are having the best day. I am knocking some things out. I have this podcast recording to do, and then I have two one-on-one calls, and then I have to pack, and then we are going on vacation. It's not going to be too far or too long because I am very pregnant. I'll be 33 weeks in a couple of days as I record this. So we've decided to book like a little kind of baby moon vibe, which I'm very excited about. It honestly could not come at a better time, especially after the month that I just had and like I've been going nonstop. I will say this pregnancy has been giving me so much life in so many different ways. And especially energy. And I realize I'm so lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones because obviously everybody has very different experiences with their pregnancies, but this is how I was with Cruz too. And I've just been going nonstop. Chris has been going nonstop. We've been traveling. Just so many different things. So this trip comes at the best time. And this is one of my examples. I didn't talk about this in the last episode, but in the last episode, I talked about how like I started living my life. Like I know one of the things that unlocked this next level of abundance for me was finally doing the things that I wanted to do that I was able to do, but I was previously kind of holding myself back from doing until I hit like a certain benchmark, you know? And one of those things is like vacations. We don't take a lot of vacations. We never have. It's always one of those things like when Cruz gets a little bit older or after this, or, you know, maybe once work slows down, but then we realize, okay, Cruz will be a little bit older and then the excuse is going to be school. And then we're going to have a new baby and the excuse will be the new baby. And then, you know, work isn't going anywhere. So that's always going to be a thing. So anyway, we've really had to work on this, Chris and I. and a couple of months ago, I was like, I'm booking us a freaking trip. I'm ready to go. We'll be so glad that we did this before the baby comes. And a friend of mine posted pictures. She went on a vacation with her family to Sea Island. I believe is it St. Simon's Island off of the coast of Georgia. Anyway, it's like right there. I've never been, but I saw her pictures and they were exquisite. I mean, they were like everything, like all the backgrounds, everything. It just looks so vibey and gorgeous and luxurious and like all the things that I am attracted to. So I asked her, I was like, where is this? And she was like, oh my gosh, you have to go. So anyway, I looked into booking this trip and you had to call to book it because they were pretty booked. And I called and they were giving me the pricing for the rooms. And I thought they meant like for the whole stay. Let's just put it that way. For like our room, she gave me a quote. And I thought it was for the whole, like literally Thursday to Sunday. But it was per night. So I had a moment. I was like, whoa, okay, it's like that kind of place. And I could afford it. You know, I've been busting my butt. I could definitely afford it, but it was like a definite stretch moment for me. And I had to decide, one, do I even want this? You know, because the option could be, I don't want this. I want to do something different, which is perfect. But I really wanted it. I really wanted to go. I just want to be somewhere beautiful and relaxing where we can order room service and, you know, get a spa treatment and go to the beach with Cruz and have everything right there. And it just be like super vibey. That's what excites me. And this is about me. This trip is about me and relaxing. So I booked the freaking trip, man. And I'm so happy I did. I'm so happy I did. And fun fact, when she had like gave me the grand total, because I needed to give her my credit card for it. And she gave me the grand total. And it gave me so much ease because the last three digits, it was like there was an 8 at the end and then 88 cents. So the last three digits of this total she gave me was 888, which is like numerology for abundance, or like angel number for abundance. I can't remember which one, but anyway, I was like, okay, this is a sign. I'm going to lean in. And I'm so glad. I'm so freaking glad. So anyway, long story short, we're leaving tomorrow. So by the time you hear that, by the time you hear this, we'll be back. And I hope I am relaxed and I hope everything went well. So this episode, we are going to dive into the how of my 6-figure month. Because I said, we talked quite a lot about energy and a lot of different things in the last episode. And I kept saying, like, I'm going to tell you how, I'm going to tell you all the things that happen. And I want to break down because all of you are business owners, but so many of you have similar businesses to mine. And or you want to have a similar business to mine in terms of like coaching and mentorship and like different types of packages and things like that. So I thought it would be super helpful to give you like an actual breakdown of what I launched, what clients came through, to give you a picture of like how this, by the way, the total, by the way, I didn't get to tell you this in the last episode because I didn't know yet. It was in the end of July. And I said, I think it might be about $120,000. And it was right on the money. It was 120,300 and something for the month of July, which is so awesome. So how did that all happen? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode, the literal how, where all the revenue came from, the different launches, the different packages, the different clients, all that. That's what this is all about. So let's do it. One tiny thing to note is I am hosting a masterclass the day that this episode comes out. I decided to do this masterclass after I had already recorded the last episode. So I apologize. But if you're listening to this, it may not be too late to get the recording and to grab it. And it's going to be freaking good. I'm doing a masterclass called The Abundance Code, where I'm breaking down like the money codes I know that I cracked to hit like my next level abundance. So you can do the same, because there's just so much that shifted in so many different ways, but especially in terms of like my money mindset and what I worked through and grew through to be the woman who can create at this level and all the things. So I decided to do a masterclass on this. It's going to be Monday, August 8th, 8/8. It's $88, but we will be doing something with the recording. So I don't know what we're doing with the recording yet, but if you're interested, go to the link in the show notes, because I'm sure we'll have something there with some information for you if you're interested in that, because it's going to be juicy. And very focused on how you can shift into your next levels of financial abundance like I did. All right. So the literal how, where did all this revenue come from? So I know that when I for the longest time, I was at consistent 50K months. And I was very happy about this. And also I wanted to grow. And, my next big goal for myself was 6-figure months. And like I shared in episode, by the way, if you haven't listened to episode 170, definitely go listen to it. You don't have to listen in order, but do not miss 170 because it's super juicy. I shared in that episode that this is something that I have been working toward, the 6-figure month. It's just been a big goal of mine. As soon as I heard that it was possible, and I saw that women were doing this, women just like me, just like you, were doing this, I was like, oh, hell yeah. That's the level I want to be. Like, why not So I've been working toward this for a really long time. And something that I had to shift for myself was this thought that, okay, if I'm at 50K months right now, I know the level of work that I'm doing for $50,000. I know that. So it kind of felt to me, and it was easy to kind of like accidentally fall into this thought of like, okay, if I want to double that, if I want to double the amount of revenue, then I'm going to have to double the amount of work that I'm doing. I'm going to have to work with double amount of clients and launch double amount of times. And, like that's a really slippery slope that you can fall into. And because I was thinking that way, I think it served as somewhat of a block for me because I work a lot. I've shared with you, like I love to work. That's my thing. So, my days are full. I see quite a few clients. I have an incredible, really pretty full mastermind. And, in addition to the creation of programs, like there's a lot that I offer within my business. So if I'm wanting to double revenue and I'm thinking that that's going to require double the work, that's going to block me because how am I going to do that? I'm one person. Even with the support of Sarah, there's like at some point you're capped. There's only so much that you can do. So I really had to do work around that and releasing myself from that because obviously there's so many ways that you can scale and you can yeah and I did end up launching more, and we'll talk about that because that's been really fun for me with the amount of energy that I have. But like there are other ways that abundance can flow in that doesn't require extra actions. So remembering that and letting that be like holding that as a possibility for myself served me really, really well. And another thing, and I shared this in the last episode, but I just have to say again that the coolest part about hitting this level was that it it wasn't at the expense of any of life balance. I'm 30. When I hit six figures for the month, I was 32 weeks pregnant. Like that is the coolest freaking thing to me. I'm like giant pregnant, weeks away from bringing a human into the world. And I'm at the peak of my game business wise. I'm at the peak of my game in terms of the level of support that I can offer the clients that I work with and the level of support that I'm able to receive. And I mean, so many things are just really beautiful in my life right now. And I think that makes me the most proud that like I'm not ending this month hating my life and having to like repair my marriage or apologize to current clients for not being present because I'm like chasing other things. None of that needed to happen. It all got to happen like pretty seamlessly with how I normally operate. And I'm super, super proud of that. While I'm also traveling, like I did a client retreat in July. I was out laying by a pool, getting massages, being present, like practicing selling behind the scenes while I'm living my life and having fun and really leaning into how good it gets to be. As I've heard people say that. I've heard like, let it be easy and, let just the money flow to you and all the things. And as somebody who I'm typically more in my masculine, I'm typically more of an action taker, that feels a little foreign to me. And I really nailed it this month, or last month. So very proud about that and very excited to share that with you. Because if you have this business goal in mind and it's double or triple what you're normally doing, then it's just really easy to fall into that slippery slope of, oh, I'm going to have to do double the work, double the things, double whatever. So Anyway, it didn't take double by any stretch, but what it did take was work for sure and intentionality. So there are people out there who are so tapped into their feminine, um, and they're so tapped into to energetics where they just attract like a mofo. And there's different ways to attract, okay? Different ways to attract. But like they can fully trust, they can like fully lean back and not do much action and still call in like these insane results. And one day I might get there, but for now I'm just like it's in my body, in my DNA to take action, to move. And I think that's the main agenda in me too. It's just like that's who I am. So I wanted you to hear it didn't take double the work. It didn't take like a level of burnout by any means, but it did take intentionality. I went for this. I absolutely went for this. I started July hot and heavy, and I maintained the momentum all month long. And it was super intentional. Okay. Now, in the beginning of July, I didn't know that this would be a six-figure month. I mean, I start every month with like the intention of a six-figure month for sure. But I didn't know like this would be the month. It wasn't until mid-July that I realized like, holy crap, we're at 69K for the month. Like this is within reach. I feel like we need to go. So I just made sure that I maintained that momentum and I stayed super freaking focused. All right. So anyway, here's how it all happened. Because I mentioned in the last episode that like as soon as I declared it, it was like so many cool things happened that helped lend to that last push. So first and foremost, I started July 1st. I started it with a 10K day, which love that. That's a really nice way to start the month with like a quick little bump of cash. I started that because it was from at the end of June, I launched a micro offer called 30-Day Slay. Because at the end of June, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, I just had a fun thought. I was like, wouldn't it be cool to bring in an extra 20, 30K by the end of the month? And there was one day left in the month. So I came up with a quick little offer, 30-Day Slay, and we ended up selling 5 spots. And the last 2 were paid July 1st, which was $10,000. So we started with that. And then I knew that month that I would be launching at least 2 things. And I didn't know what those things were yet. I had an idea for one of them, didn't know what the other thing was going to be. So I ended up launching in the month of June, let's see, 3 offers. All right. 2 were what I call like pretty standard launches, at least a week, if not more, of promotion, of consistent promotion across all of my platforms. So those 2 things were 10K in a day formula, which is my process for creating these micro offers like 30-Day Slay and infusing my business with cash in just a day or 2. By the way, I believe that's evergreen now. So if you want in on that training, we'll link that in the show notes too. So 10K in a day formula, we launched that. And then Stories That Sell was another one that we launched. It was like your standard launch, very focused for multiple days in a row, like around 7 or 10 days, something like that. So those were like my planned intentional launches that I knew were happening in July, that I knew would bring in a pretty good chunk of change. And they did. So it was about after those launches. No. Okay. Before I made the declaration. So before I made the declaration, I launched both of those things because it was a little after. I think it was July 19th. Yeah, it was July 19th that I made the declaration that I was going to hit six figures. Okay. So I'm just trying to get my dates right. So prior to July 19th, I had already launched 10K in a day formula, stories that sell. So that made a really good amount of revenue. And that's when I realized I was at 69K. So I got 69K from those launches and from like recurring payments for mastermind members, private clients, that kind of thing. Like a few of those had come through in the beginning of the month. We were at 69K on July 19th. All right. So right before July 19th, nope, it was after. So I made the declaration July 19th, and then I went on my Game Changer Mastermind retreat. Okay, I went on my retreat and I knew, okay, if I'm going to hit this, like I'm at 69K, that means at the very least $30,000 needs to flow into my business. I've already done my 2 launches for the month. I could launch something else if I wanted to, but I didn't have any ideas. So I remember thinking, like, the day that I declared $100,000, like, okay, how could this happen? You know, like what are the different ways that I can get behind that this $30,000 can take place? And my thoughts were, I could, could sign more mastermind members. I could sign a private client, but it would have to be a pay in full, which has happened one time. I've had one pay in full private client. So that would have helped a ton. Or I could launch something new. So I had some ideas and I wasn't really quite sure what the vibe would be. But I was going to this retreat and I want to be super, super present at this retreat. So I really wasn't worried about it. So I went, I had the best freaking time with my girls in Austin at the Miraval Resort. And while I was there, I was still selling stories that sell. And that was fun because I would just like post a graphic and leave, and then go have fun and we get all these sales. And it was just like proof of living your life and making money. It's possible. And then I had the idea, where was I? It was one of the days in Miraval. I just had the thought, like, would just put out a story that I have a spot open for private coaching, which is true because one of my private clients just graduated. So I did have a spot open and I haven't talked about it yet. So I put it out on my stories. I said, P.S. I have one spot for private mentorship. Let me know if you're interested. And a couple of people reached out and were inquiring. And one in particular, shout out to Rachel, she reached out and she'd reached out about a few other times before about a few other things. And we chatted just a little bit back and forth. And I was flying home from Miraval. The plane landed and I turned off airplane mode and I got a message from her. And the message was, I'm in, pay in full, please. And I was like, you're freaking kidding me. You have got to be kidding. Right. Because I said, yeah, that was one of my intentions before I left. Like this, well, if this is going to happen, it could come in a couple of different ways, but this would probably have to be a pay, like one, at least include one pay in full private client. And she came, like most of the women who work privately, who sign up privately, with the exception of one, do a payment plan, which is perfect. That's why I offer a payment plan. You get to choose, but like this month, this particular person in this moment decided she wanted to pay in full. And I was just like, it was such a moment. I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Like, this is meant to happen. I just knew, like, I know it's going to happen. This is so freaking cool. So that happened. And then let's see, a few other things that month that really, really shifted a lot of energy too, that I haven't mentioned yet, because I mentioned like the launches that I had, but I had 3 of my mastermind members, um, their contracts were coming to an end. And if you're in my mastermind, you have the opportunity to re-sign and stay in the mastermind. And 3 of them re-signed, all of them paid in full. And then we got 2 new mastermind members that month as well. So all in all, here's where all of that 100K came from. I launched 10K in a day formula. I launched stories that sell, which were significant offers. I signed or re-signed 3 of my current mastermind members, 2 new mastermind members, a private client pay in full. I had random sales from other programs that come in, every day or so. I get a bunch of like random sales. And then, okay, so we're at the end of July and PayPal, well, actually, that doesn't matter. I was going to say PayPal wasn't updating and had to like add all of my numbers by hand, which is super annoying. Like I broke my PayPal for a few days. Anyway, but that part doesn't matter. Anyway, I was waiting on a couple of payments to come in that I wasn't quite sure would make it by the end of the month. Okay. So there was a point, July 26, 27, where I was so close. We were at like 88K, 88 or 89K. And I knew a couple of payments were going to come through, but they weren't coming through until like July 30th. Okay. So I was so close, but I was so nervous. Like, if I just sit back and relax, what if something happens with one of these payments and for whatever reason, I don't know, like my mind was just going crazy. Like, what if I get this close and it doesn't happen? So I decided, okay, I'm going to launch one more thing for the month. What could be something if I need to generate $12,000 to like put us over the line right now? What does that look like? What sounds like so much fun that would be so fun to deliver that I know would be super valuable? And I came up with what I called the double revenue intensive, which is a 90-minute call plus 7 business days of Voxer where we strategize on how to double your revenue. And I made how many spots available? 3 or 4? I can't remember now. Design, like I did this to put us over the line. And they booked within the first day and it put us over the line. And that's literally how it all happened. Just like that. So that's like the literal how. The offers 3. So ultimately 1, 2, 3. 3 launches. One is a micro launch. So one was super, super easy and super fast. And then a call to action for private coaching, which landed me a pay in full client. All right. And then re-signing of clients, deciding to stay in my world, which you never know if that's going to happen or not. 2 random mastermind members flowing in, which was super cool. And then a bunch of random other sales. So a lot happened, right? Like a lot shifted and happened to make this work. But I think the thing that was the coolest for me to witness and experience was that pay in full, because that felt like out of all the things that happened, out of all the things that I launched, that felt like the for some reason, I don't know, like the farthest stretch to call in a pay in full client with just a few days left in the month, when she easily could have chosen a payment plan, which would have been amazing too. But I don't think it's a coincidence that it was after I declared I was going to hit 100K. And I had the thought like, okay, and I wrote in my journal, I kid you not, I wrote in my journal one of the days I was calling in a pay in full client, and it happened. So anyway, it took work. I said in a post the other day that I didn't do this manifesting on a pillow. Certainly not. It definitely took a lot of intentionality and it took a lot of tracking my money and a lot of shifting things and a lot of maintaining my focus on what's working. Because there were a few days where it definitely felt like it was so far away and that I was straddling the line about to get my hopes up. But I would not allow myself to go there. I just wouldn't because I know better. And I think that I don't think I know that that was a big part in how this worked too, was my ability to maintain my focus on what was actually working. Because there were plenty of examples that could have led me down a rabbit hole to think that it wasn't going to happen. So, anyway, those are the actions. Those are the how. And then in the next episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about energy and a few other things. And we're going to wrap this up in the next episode. So I hope you enjoyed this. I've been getting even more of your declarations, which I love so much. So if you have a big declaration for August or the rest of the year that you want to send me just to get it out into the universe, I would love to hear it. It makes me so happy. They are so juicy. I'm just, wow, y'all are incredible. I love you. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.